This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
Studies show that caring for a sick or aging loved one can take its toll on a caregiver, and today's show focuses on an organization that provides support for both. Joining me now is Joyce Harper, Administrative Officer, and Latifa Irvine, Healthcare Coordinator. They are both with Southeastern Healthcare of North Carolina. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Southeastern Healthcare of North Carolina provides a number of services for families across the state. Tell us a little bit about the organization and the services that you provide.
Southeastern Healthcare has been in business for over 25 years. The organization started with an adult daycare center that served 12 people, and the organization has grown into what it is today. And today the organization serves older adults and adults with disabilities. We provide adult daycare, overnight respite, home care, and day treatment for individuals with a mental health diagnosis. The organization really has a passion for helping loved ones keep their people at home, keep people that they love at home, rather than putting them in an institution or letting someone else care for them.
And that's extremely important when you talk about a family member, a loved one. You want to keep them at home as much as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we all want to have an opportunity to age in place at home, surrounded by love and surrounded by people that love us. And that's one of the things that Southeastern Healthcare really focuses on, is helping family members provide the care that they need so that they can keep their loved one at home.
Talk a little bit more about the support that you provide to those family members, because I know that as someone who has helped care for an aging loved one, it does take a village, and it does take a lot of support to do that. Talk about how you partner with families to help them support their loved ones.
Well, one of the things that we do is we provide adult daycare, which is care for a loved one during the day. So if someone has to work or they need to go to the grocery store, to hospital, they can leave their loved one at the adult daycare center during the day. That's one of the ways that we partner. So it alleviates the burden of having to find someone to stay at home if the loved one can't be left alone, as well as we provide overnight respite in the event that someone wants to take a break overnight. They want to go on vacation, they want to care for their needs, they need to travel for work. We can provide respite for the individual. Their loved one can stay with us, and we'll take great care of them while they travel, and they don't have to worry about how's my loved one going to be cared for.
Let's talk a little bit more about what actually respite is, because I think a lot of times people don't really understand what that means.
Respite basically is giving a caregiver an opportunity to take time to care for themselves as well as their loved one. We all too often find ourselves being caregivers for individuals, our children, our parents, our grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., that we sometimes lose sight on taking care of ourselves, and it becomes a lot of stress, and it becomes a strain, and we have to take care of ourselves and before we can take care of anyone else, because if we're ill now, we can't, of course, take care of that loved one that's we're supposed to be nurturing and taking care of.
Right. How prevalent is it for the need of respite, or how prevalent is it that you have family members in the area who are working and taking care of an aging or a disabled family member?
Well, in the Raleigh-Durham area, older adults is the fastest growing population in this community. So as older adults are moving into the community, either to live with a child or to be closer to relatives, that population is growing at a very rapid rate. And because of that, what you have is what we call the sandwich generation. That generation of individuals who are caring for their children as well as caring for their aging parents and not having an opportunity to care for themselves. And as I said, because the older population is the fastest growing population in the area, you can imagine how the strain continues to grow for that middle of that sandwich generation that's trying to continue to raise their children, get them off to college, as well as care for their loved ones, their parents who mean a lot to them.
Absolutely. And when you look at the aging population here in the Triangle area, why is it so important to have that overnight respite as an option for families?
Well, people are aging, and they're living longer now with health care services that's being provided in hospitals and even at PCP's offices, physicians' offices, people are living longer with medication and treatment. So I think that with that being said, that becomes a great opportunity for people to stay at home. And like she said earlier, you have a lot of people that are working, taking care of their children, as well as trying to take care of someone that is aging. And respite is there for that relief, to allow that person to have a break when they actually need that break.
Okay. So you offer not just overnight, but then some adult daycare,
Yes.
if you will.
Yes. So the goal really is to give the caregiver an opportunity to care for themselves. So what we find is when you're a caregiver, you spend so much time caring for someone else that you take very little time to care for yourself. So the goal is to really allow the caregiver to care for themselves, and whether it's a child caring for a parent or a spouse, caring for a spouse that has become ill, we want that caregiver to be able to have an opportunity to care for themselves, an opportunity to take time for themselves, an opportunity, whether it is just going to the doctor or if it is going out of town. So Southeastern Healthcare provides flexibility in that. One of the things we offer with respite is whatever you need, we try to provide an opportunity for you to have it. We provide an opportunity for you to get away for a couple of hours or a couple of days.
How can people find out more information about Southeastern Healthcare and the services that you provide?
Individuals can go to our website at sewake.com, or they can call us at 919-212-8580, and someone will be happy to answer any questions that they have. Overnight respite as well as daytime respite is a new phenomenon with caregivers, because as the rate of caregivers continues to grow, the need grows as well. And in North Carolina, we're kind of just getting to a point where we're realizing that caring for someone at home is not only cost effective, but it is better for the person, it's better for the community. So allowing caregivers to have respite is something new, and it's something that I believe caregivers will find that they can benefit from a great deal.
I'm sure it's something that is greatly needed as well. We're going to take a break. We'll talk more in just a minute.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more on Southeastern Healthcare after these messages. Today's show focuses on an organization that provides services and support for disabled and aging adults, as well as those who take care of them. And with us again is Joyce Harper, Administrative Officer, and Latifa Irvine, Healthcare Coordinator. They are both with Southeastern Healthcare of North Carolina. Now, before the break, you were talking about some of the services that you provide and just the importance of having that support for our caregivers of people who are aging or disabled. So let's talk a little bit more about the services that you provide and the options and support that you provide for these caregivers, because a lot of times they can get worn out because they're giving so much of their time.
Right. Well, there are different acuity levels for people that we care for. It can be as simple as they just need help with toileting. We have some participants that are legally blind, and they too need that socialization and to be shut in at home, and the medical daycare provides them that opportunity to have that stimulation and social exchange with their peers where they wouldn't normally receive if they're at home and it's just them and the television, so I think that gives them an opportunity to definitely tap into still having that camaraderie with their peers and activities. So we provide activities that they would enjoy, like bingo, and most seniors like bingo, card games, movies, things that they would not normally get out to do on their own, because after a certain period of times they don't want to drive because they feel unsafe, or the doctors have told them that they can't drive, so we give them that support that they would not be given if they were home alone.
Who are the clients that you serve?
We serve individuals who are 18 and over. So what that means is if you're caring for a loved one who has a disability, say they are 30 years old and they have a disability and they're unable to stay at home alone, we care for those individuals. We care for individuals who are 70 years old, who may have early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. We care for individuals, any individual who is 18 and over, who's unable to stay at home on their own or who wants some socialization. They can come in and be at Southeastern. So with overnight respite, we care a lot for individuals who either because of a cognitive disability or because of a health disability, they're unable to be at home alone. So they are unable to, as Latifah said, go to the bathroom on their own. They may be unable to feed themselves. They may have some cognitive decline, and they need someone to support them while they're at home, support them while they go through their daily routine. This Southeastern Healthcare allows the caregiver to have that break, and we provide that care on site. So we will provide the medications. You bring the medication to us, we have a nurse on staff who will administer the medications. We will work with the doctor to make sure that whatever the individual, their medical care requires, that we provide it on site. They can stay with us for up to 14 consecutive nights. So what that does is it allows a caregiver to have a vacation. It allows a caregiver, in many cases, to go to the hospital and have a procedure and take care of their own needs, which oftentimes gets put on hold because the caregiver says, I can't leave my loved one, I can't leave my spouse, I can't leave my dad, so they put their care on hold. So overnight respite allows the opportunity for the caregiver to care for themselves. One of the things we say quite often is caregivers need care too. So we want our caregivers to get the care that they need so that they can care for a longer period of time, so that they can have fulfillment of their own lives, as well as allowing the person that they love to have a fulfilled life as well.
And that's extremely important, not just for the caregiver, but for the person they're caring for and the entire family.
Exactly.
Absolutely, because oftentimes you'll have, especially if it's a spouse, you'll have the spouse having a desire to perhaps interact with their grandchildren, or if it's a child caring for a parent, you'll have them having a spouse or a child that needs their attention. And so some resentment can build because you love this person and you want to care for this person, but we're all human. And some resentment can build because you can't do what you wanted to do, or you can't do what you have a desire to do because you're caring for this person.
Right.
And one of the things that respite, be it overnight respite or be it daytime respite, one of the things it does is it allows the caregiver to not build up that resentment because they can take a break, they can walk away, and they can walk away feeling secure. Because one of the things that often hinders a caregiver from taking respite and taking a break for themselves is they're concerned that their loved one is not going to get the care that they need. They're concerned that the loved one will be placed almost in an institution where they are just in a room by themselves. But that's not what we do. At Southeastern Healthcare, the person is interacting with other individuals that are their peers. They are doing activities during the day. They're engaged at night. I mean, the purpose of respite is not just to put the person in a room alone, but it really is to keep them stimulated and to keep the person who's receiving care excited as well. Because if someone has a physical disability, they too can get a little frustrated because they want some interaction with someone other than their family members.
Right.
And the family members trying to help them as best they can, but they don't know how. But at Southeastern Healthcare, we have an opportunity to allow them to have interactions. We work with veterans, and we allow veterans to talk to other veterans, and they can have that interaction, that conversation with someone who's had, share stories of what they've had in the past. So we've got individuals that have a knitting club. So, I mean, the interaction is good for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, there may be someone watching today who is caring for an elderly parent or a disabled spouse. How can they connect with you to take part in these services and become a part of your organization?
If they have any questions, they can call directly to the job in Southeastern Healthcare, and they can also go to our website at SEWake.com, and they can contact us in the office at 919-212-8580, and they can ask to speak to anyone, and I'm sure they'll if they don't get someone directly, they'll get their questions answered. Answered in the event that they have questions regarding the services, and we'll be glad to give them any information that they want to know about.
And what types of fees are associated with the services that you provide?
The fees vary depending upon where the payment is coming from. So we're working currently to have more options to pay for individuals. For example, we're trying to work to get some funding so that we can provide for individuals that can't afford to pay. So what we encourage people, instead of letting money be a barrier, to contact our office and let's work with you.
Right.
Because we work with a lot of organizations in the community, and because they understand respite and they know the need for respite, we're working together to see how we can find funding so that individuals who need the respite can get the respite. But if someone calls our office, we're happy to talk to them about the fees, happy to talk to them about what their options are as far as paying for it. And what we encourage people to do quite often is just come and take a tour. Sit down with us, let's talk about it, let's see what the options are. Even if you're not ready for respite at this moment, come and talk to us and let's give you the option, and you can decide what you want to do from there.
Absolutely, get
a
all
lot of
that
people
information.
don't understand when it's time to have that discussion either. So you know that becomes a hindrance as well. They don't realize that they actually have that option out there, and you know it's not a tapped in. The resources are not readily available, and they don't know even what respite is. So with that being said, it's hard for them to even find a outlet as to getting help.
Right.
So if they have any questions, you know, when do I say I need respite? You know, a lot of people don't ask themselves that question because they don't know about it.
Right, so the information is so very important. We're going to take another break. We'll talk more in just a minute.
All right, thank you.
Don't go away. Tar Heel Talk will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. Studies show that caring for a sick or aging loved one can take its toll on a caregiver, and today's show has focused on an organization that provides support for both. And with us again is Joyce Harper, Administrative Officer, and Latifa Irvine. She's the Healthcare Coordinator, and they are both with Southeastern Healthcare of North Carolina. You were talking about the respite care.
Yes.
Something that will provide a little bit of relief for caregivers, for people who are working and taking care of people who are either disabled or aging.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that program and why it is so important.
Overnight respite is so important because it allows a caregiver the opportunity to take a vacation, to handle their personal needs, to even go into the hospital for a procedure if they need it. Overnight respite is a program that is fairly new to North Carolina. The way our overnight respite works with Southeastern Healthcare is individuals can stay on site at our program for up to 14 consecutive days. And what that means is that allows someone to have 2 weeks of a break. It doesn't have to be 14 days. They can stay from 1 night, 5 nights, up to 14 consecutive nights. They are allowed to be in our day program during the day. So because we have an adult day program, during the day individuals are with their peers, they're stimulated, they're having fun. And in the evening, overnight respite has only 6 beds, only 6 individuals at a time. And in the evening, it quiets down, slows down, and they kind of have more one-on-one care in the evening. And respite overall is so important for caregivers because whether they need it just for a few hours or for a few days, they need to know they have options. And they definitely have options with Southeastern Healthcare. They can use adult day for daytime hours. They can use overnight respite for a combination of daytime and overnight hours. And overnight respite is 7 days a week. So it's not just Monday through Friday. If a caregiver wants to take a long weekend, it's available to them.
And those options are extremely important when you're talking about having a caregiver taking care of their loved one at home for an extended period of time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as we said earlier, taking care of a loved one can become very taxing for the caregiver. It becomes taxing because most of us never imagined that we'd have to take care of another adult person, whether it's a spouse or a child or even a extended family member. We never imagined it, but we still love this person and we still want to make sure that they have a comfortable life and we want to make sure that they are well cared for. And Southeastern Healthcare helps caregivers know that their loved one is being cared for. Our facility is not for individuals that are ready to be in an institution substitution is for people who are living at home where they're with the caregiver and the caregiver just wants a break. The caregiver wants a break either during the day or they want a break for a vacation overnight. If they want to do adult daycare can be one day, it could be 5 days a week, it could be what they need. If they want overnight respite, again, that's up to 14 consecutive days. It could be one overnight stay, it can be 14 consecutive overnight stays, but the options are available. And what we try to encourage people to do is we try to encourage individuals to just call. As Latifah said earlier, just ask the question, what's it about? Is it a good fit for me? And what do I need? Because oftentimes a caregiver will call and they think they want overnight respite, but really all they need is just a few hours during the day. But with Southeastern, you have those options.
Okay, and how can people connect with you to find out what options are available?
They can go to our website at sewake.com, or they can call us at 919-212-8580. And if they call us and just say they want information on respite, they will be connected to someone who can answer their questions and who can even schedule a time to take them on a tour. So we encourage individuals to come and look at the facility because it helps a caregiver to feel comfortable if they know my loved one is going to be in a warm and comfortable environment with people who know how to take care of them.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for people to know that this is quality care. If you're going to leave your loved one there overnight or just for a few hours, your staff will take the time to know their needs and understand their needs and work with them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. We pride ourselves on the fact that we hire the best of the best, and we hire people who care. And that's so important, that you're not in it just because you want a paycheck. You work for us because you absolutely care about the individual, and you want to make sure that they're comfortable, and you want to make sure that they have everything that they need while they're at our facility.
Right. That's extremely important.
It is.
When you're talking about a family member, a loved one that you're caring for. When you look at the services that are provided and the impact that it's making in the community and just helping families just stay afloat, what do you tell the public about that, and why should people support an organization like Southeastern Healthcare?
Well, I say we bridge the gap between that strain that caregivers usually face. Myself, I have aging parents, and I'm actually the only person that's here in North Carolina for them. So, I do know that anticipatory, that it's going to happen eventually where you have to care for someone, whether it be your children or your parents. And, that we can kind of bridge that gap for them, and to, hear stories or to hear the gratification that a lot of them have, and the hugs and the warmth that they give you after they come to pick up their loved ones. It's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Well, how did you get my mom to brush her teeth? Or how did you get her in the shower? Those kind of things. It's rewarding, because she's like, some of them come and they'll say, well, I can't get my mom to open her mouth to brush her teeth, so you're probably going to have a hard time with that. And then when you tell them, no, I got mom to brush her teeth, they're like, how did you do that? And it's sometimes, like she said, like Joyce said earlier, that resentment can kind of set in, because it's now like, I'm just frustrated and I'm not even going to keep trying because mom is going to fight me on this one. When you sometimes take a different approach, or a setback and say, different tactics and different people, it gives them an opportunity to say, okay, well, try this next time, because all my aide or the aide had to tell her was, it's going to make your food taste better. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try that, and it may work. It may work now. They're not trained professionals. They're loved ones. So they don't know some of the things to do. So with that help from us, we can definitely tell them, and help them critique the way that they do certain things, and even with their approach, just redirection sometimes can also help.
And people can certainly find out more information by going to your website, sewake.com, or they can call 919-212-8580 and find out more about your services. I thank you both so much for the work that you're doing, and thank you for sharing this work and all of your support for our aging and disabled citizens.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send us an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.